All right, so the Grizzlies' number 9 overall pick in the draft, Zach Edey, was pretty solid in his summer league debut. He ended up with 14 points, along with 15 rebounds and a number of block shots, and did it while matched up against a quality rim protector in Walker Kessler. So for one, like everybody, I did question Zach Edey's translatability from college to the NBA. But after seeing what team he was drafted to, the situation that he was drafted into, I started to change my mind a bit. And I do see a world where Zach Edey, for one, is very effective in his first year for the Grizzlies and is also a legitimate contender for the Rookie of the Year award. So for one, when talking about the situation he was drafted into, I don't care what way you look at it, the Grizzlies are a legitimate contender right now in the Western Conference. We've seen that core of John Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson play at a very high level together. We've seen them make the playoffs. We've seen them get to the second round of the playoffs. Generally, throughout this John Morant era, the Grizzlies have been a really, really good winning team. I think like in his first season, they were one game short of actually making the playoffs in the NBA bubble. We've seen this core win. We've seen this core play at a high level. They're just trying to get over the hump. They have made really good additions to their core. They brought in Marcus Smart, who was the Defensive Player of the Year back in 2022, who didn't play a ton last season, and hopefully this year he's going to be healthy and he'll help bring them over the top a bit. They also have Gigi Jackson, who was very impressive in his first season for the Grizzlies. They have done a good job of building over the years while winning when healthy, right? So there's that. Also, the NBA right now, everything is super wide open. There is no clear-cut favorite to win the title next season. I know Vegas may have the Celtics as the favorite to repeat, but the Bucks can have their number in a 7-game series if healthy. Same with like the New York Knicks or the Miami Heat or like the Philadelphia 76ers, especially since they were able to go out there and get Paul George. The league is super wide open. The West is definitely wide open. It could be anybody making the finals in the West next season between like Denver, Dallas, Memphis, if healthy, is now in the mix. A number of teams can contend for a title in the Western Conference. So with the league being super wide open like this, the Grizzlies do have a roster that is constructed to take advantage of a league where there is no active dynasty. It is nobody's league right now. Nobody is owning it. No one has a stronghold on it right now. Anybody can go and make a finals appearance. We've seen that over the course of time. Last year, we saw the Miami Heat make an NBA finals appearance as an 8 seed. The Mavericks weren't like a 1 or 2 seed in the West. I think they were like a 5 seed. It is anybody's league right now. The Grizzlies have a roster that can take advantage of that. What we've seen is that when younger players, especially lottery picks, when they are drafted into winning situations, when they are drafted to contenders, they generally do well. Jason Tatum, Ben Simmons, Donovan Mitchell was on a playoff contender in his first year. Michael Porter Jr., when he was drafted to the Nuggets, they were a really good team. We have seen generally over the years that when young players are drafted to winning teams and winning scenarios, they tend to develop well. Zach Edey is drafted into a winning situation here with the Memphis Grizzlies. On top of that, he does fill some pretty immediate needs that they have. Last season, they were not an amazing team from a rebounding perspective. Last year, they were 24th overall in rebounding, and more worrisome is that they were 27th in defensive rebounding, so they were leaving a ton of offensive rebounding opportunities on the table for other teams, and that opens up the ability for them to get second chance opportunities and second chance looks. Zach Edey is one of the best rebounders in this draft class. He's going to help them a ton on that side of the basketball. On the other end, defensively, he's drafted to a Grizzlies team that was already good from a defensive standpoint last season, even with guys being out. And he just adds an extra dimension of rim protecting. We know that he is one of the best rim protectors in this class as well. Last season, they were already top 10 in paint defense, and he's only going to help them be even more effective on that side of things. On offense, think about this as well. In college, he played with a really good playmaking point guard in Braden Smith. Guess what he's doing here in the NBA? Playing with a really good playmaking point guard with John Morant. So his best years in college came when he was playing with Braden Smith. He's done well when he's played with high-level playmakers. It's kind of how it is with big men. Big men are able to do well when they're around guys who know how to get them the ball. John Morant is really good at hitting guys in their spots. He's done that since his first season. Think about it. His first year, he developed a really good chemistry in the pick and roll with Jonas Valanciunas when Valanciunas was kind of acting as a role man. That could be a similar dynamic here between him and Zach Edey. Edey also has really good touch, so maybe coming out of the pick and roll in short roll scenarios, I hope he kind of develops a little bit of a floater in the paint out of the short roll, kind of like how Isaiah Hartenstein did it. I think he could be really effective in that pick and roll tandem with John Morant. He's also a pretty solid passer, so he can be good when it comes to finding guys out of the short roll out on the perimeter. The only downside is this on the offensive end. For one, he's not a great shooter. They're not going to run a lot of low post plays for him like they did at Purdue because NBA players are generally bigger and low post-ups aren't a big thing right now in the NBA anymore. And also on top of that, the Grizzlies did not shoot the three ball well last year, and they're bringing a lot of guys from last year into this season, along with Marcus Smart, who didn't play a ton last year, and he's not a great three-point shooter. So defenders have more of an incentive to overhelp a little bit in the paint because the Grizzlies aren't going to absolutely burn them from the three-point line, and that could clog things up in the lane a little bit and make things a little less effective for Zach Edey on the offensive end. But I think by virtue of having a really good playmaking point guard like Ja, he'll get a lot of really easy looks and opportunities. And I could see him out of his first year being a legitimate double-digit scoring threat for the Grizzlies, which helps them a ton on the offensive end. There are also limitations from a defensive standpoint, so we know he's not a really switchable defensive player. That was one thing a lot of people criticized him for on the college level. But also, let's think about this. This Grizzlies coaching staff has done a really, really good job of developing young guys. Developing Zach Edey on defense is going to be a major priority for them. And if there's any coaching staff you could trust to do that, it would be the Grizzlies coaching staff. Think about it. Over the last 5 years, they've developed a Rookie of the Year with John Morant, a Most Improved Player with Desmond Bane, and also a Defensive Player of the Year with Jaren Jackson. This is a very trustworthy Grizzlies coaching staff that has shown the ability to develop young players over the years. Zach Edey is in really, really good hands. So again, talking about the situation he was drafted into, he is in really good hands when it comes to the development of both his offensive and his defensive game. There are also some existing things he does well on defense. He's really good when it comes to guarding and drop coverage. We know this is still a drop coverage league at times. So I think he can do well in that sort of situation. But like I said, the other weaknesses he has on both ends of the basketball could be well addressed by this Grizzlies coaching staff that has done a really good job with the development of their younger players. So again, there's just that situation he has. So he brings a lot of basketball things to the table, and he's also just in a really, really good situation. He's in a good spot where they've done a good job with developing younger players. I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to be really good and effective for a playoff team in year one. And if you're effective for a playoff team in your rookie season, you are in Rookie of the Year conversations easily. Look at Chet Holmgren. He was playing really well for the Thunder, and they were the 1 seed in the Western Conference. And we know he came second in voting because Victor Wembanyama was just that good in his rookie season, even with being on a bad team. But still, the principle is the same. If you're a rookie playing well for a playoff team, your case for Rookie of the Year is very strong. And I think Zach Edey is going to be a rookie starting on a really good team, a contender out in the Western Conference. So that's why I think he has a legitimate argument for being one of the best rookies in year one. And like I said, it's a major change and shift in thought from where I was at like during the middle of the college basketball season last season. But like I said, the situation you're drafted into means a lot, and he was drafted into an amazing situation and scenario here in Memphis. So best of luck to him and best of luck to the Grizzlies. I trust their coaching staff to get it right with him, and I trust them as a team to get things right and get back to being a playoff team and hopefully a contender. And hopefully they're healthy, right? Hopefully guys are available like John Morant, like Marcus Smart, who didn't play a ton at all last season. With that being said, I think they're going to be really good. I think Edey is drafted to a perfect situation here, and I think he'll do his job to take perfect advantage of being in a winning scenario. He did that when he was at Purdue, did well with playing on a contender in Purdue, and I think he's going to do the same here with playing with a really good Memphis Grizzlies squad.